and welcome to the Irresistible Marketing Pod, the podcast that refuses to let you become your own shitty boss on accident. I'm your host, Isa Gauchi, your marketing confidence cheerleader and owner of the Isa Messaging digital marketing agency for small business baddies such as yourself. Today, we're going to talk about why in business especially, just because you can does not mean you should. So, if you struggle with people pleasing in your personal life, it's almost certain you also struggle with it in your business. No shade, as a recovering people pleaser myself, this is a struggle I deeply relate to. The thing is, a lot of people don't recognize when this is happening. Here's a hint: the way you talk to yourself when approaching business strategy. If you find yourself regularly saying any of the following things to yourself, it's time to check in with whether you're building the business of your dreams or replicating the toxic work structures you thought you were opting out from when you went into business for yourself. Here are those red flag phrases. How can I make more money? How can I stop getting so burnt out when I take on really challenging, uncomfortable, draining projects? How can I stop procrastinating? How can I say yes to all of these requests? How can I make myself market through the discomfort? This type of question, when I hear it from clients, signals to me that you are overriding the part of yourself that knows better, that wants boundaries to protect what's important to you and your well-being. So now let's try these rephrased questions on for size. What do I want to do to make more money? Do I want to raise the price and limit how many challenging projects I accept at a time? Do I want to take such challenging projects on at all? Am I procrastinating because this task is fundamentally unaligned with my values and or what I actually want to do? Do I want a way to be able to say no to requests that push me over my capacity? Why don't I want to market right now? What would need to change in order for me to want to show up in my marketing? Is rest what I really need to do before marketing? Now, did your shoulders just drop and your jaw unclench like mine just did? I gotta tell you, after being your marketing confidence cheerleader for 3 years, I have a theory that so many of our entrepreneurial problems boil down to us trying to force ourselves to do things that are fundamentally out of alignment with our values, our well-being, and our true desires. Let's break it down. Can is not the same thing as have to. At least once a marketing confidence cheerleading session, a client will mention something they have to do that's causing them great discomfort. When I pause them and gently ask, "Why do you have to?" they often look startled. Our have to stories often betray unconscious beliefs that made sense for us at one point in our lives, but are now quite outdated. But once aware of them, we get to choose whether we want to keep believing in them or not. So, you can do a lot of things. You're wildly capable. But you don't have to be available to do them all. You have done a lot of things. Enough things. You don't gotta prove anything. You don't have to keep doing things just because you can or you have in the past. Also, can is not the same thing as obligated. I'm saying this like it's simple, but emotionally this can be quite a challenge. Just the other day, I was talking with a client who is one of the only providers of a very important service for a very vulnerable population. Her phone has not stopped ringing in years. There is a huge demand and the other options are bleak for these folks. But I could hear in her voice how much continuing to provide this service was taking out of her, how much it was costing her mental health, how much time it was taking, and how much energy it was draining away from building the business, doing the kind of work she actually wants to provide. I reminded her of my first rule of accessibility. It has to be available to access at all, which means if you get too burnt out or too mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, or financially drained to keep offering your work at all, it is accessible to exactly no one. Zero people will be able to access it then. But I care so much about them and it's so fucked up that there aren't many other places they can go, she insisted. And she's right, it is fucked up. and it's tragic. But burning yourself into the ground isn't the only or even the best way to help. I reminded her she gets to choose how she shows up. For instance, she could decide to only take cushy projects that leave her with a lot of financial resources and spare time and make sizable donations instead. She could only take on one such project a year so that she has the energetic and emotional resources to serve the shit out of it. There are so many things she can choose. There are so many things she can do other than keep doing what she's been doing until it burns her out. And I can really tell you from experience that when you work from obligation alone, you wind up so burnt out, so drained, and so resentful a lot more of the time. It doesn't have to be that way. So can does not equal want. Knowing that you are capable of doing something is not the same thing as actually wanting to do it. Take me, for example. I can do SEO, but I don't wanna. I can do social media management, but I also don't wanna. I can write a mean proposal for your department's next big marketing spend, but I don't wanna. And let me tell you, my business got a lot more profitable and I got a lot happier in general, and I got to keep a lot more of my energy when I stopped offering to do this stuff in my business. Now, there is the nuance of not wanting to do a task that you know will get you closer to a larger goal that you really do want. Marketing is actually exactly this kind of thing for a lot of people. They don't really want to do it, but it's in service of a larger goal, like selling their offer, or helping people, building a business, etc. The trick here is to be willing to self-reflect so you can discern whether you don't want to do it at all, or you are willing to do it in service of a larger goal that you really do want and that you feel is important enough to go through the discomfort of doing a task you don't particularly enjoy. If it is the latter, though, I encourage you to get creative about how you approach your larger goal. Is there a more fun way you can achieve it? Often, again, we have false have-tos in our unconscious conception of how we get to reach a big goal. And just to throw it out there are 6- and 7-figure entrepreneurs that don't work full-time every week, that aren't on social media at all, that sell wildly unconventional offers. So it's possible. It's more than possible even. Like rested, resourced, well-fed brains that have a lot of things they enjoy in their life and time to enjoy it have a lot more space to be creative, to be strategic, to think, and to reflect, self-reflect, incorporate lessons, integrate failure, and generally get to success a lot faster. So I ask you, how would it feel to truly build your business on what you want to do? Because changing your orientation from what can I do to what do I want to do is a complete and total game changer. And to be honest, I'm on my own CEO journey of implementing this ethos. Here's what I can report back so far. One, I'm imperfect at this. My default is to grind and hustle and, double down on what I think works without bothering to stop and check in whether I actually want to do it. So it's taking a lot of awareness and patience with myself as I learn a new way to orient my view and mind and decision-making process. But I can tell you, I'm so much more likely to show up when it's in alignment with what I actually want to do. And to be aware and okay with the fact that what I want changes. I've actually been quiet in my marketing lately because my top priorities have been to rest and serve my existing clients really, really well, and I didn't have additional bandwidth to also be showing up in marketing for new projects that I don't have capacity to take yet. And this is coming from someone who has really trained herself to enjoy marketing. I love talking to folks. I love sharing about my work. I love sharing about my clients. So what I'm learning is that when I don't want to show up in my marketing, which I usually really enjoy doing, it's usually because I'm craving rest and spaciousness more than I'm wanting to hit financial or business goals at that moment. And that's an important part because when I talk with my clients and the members of the squad about this very thing, that maybe what you want, right, you're not getting the results and marketing feels like a grind because what you really want is to rest. And the fear that comes up for a lot of people is like, what if my motivation never comes back? What if that feeling of when I felt really lit up and excited to show up in my marketing never comes back if I rest? But don't worry, it does. It comes back. I am learning as we speak that when I give myself the rest I crave, my work motivation always comes back tenfold, as does my clarity, enthusiasm, and creativity. There's a little nuance to this as well, though, because you can like physically be at rest. You can not be pushing your body. You could technically not be doing work, but it's not very restful if you're beating yourself up the whole time for not being productive or not doing something else or for resting at all, which is a mental habit I'm trying to break for myself. But I notice that is not a way that my resources get replenished, my energy gets restored if I'm like technically not in motion, not mentally or physically, but I'm beating myself up for resting. It's not very restful. So you got to be nice to yourself while resting for it to count. Anyhow, when I actually do rest, when my body and my mind and my emotions need it, when my energy needs rest so that it can be restored and replenished, and I'm nice to myself about resting being a totally normal thing that I get to do and that I don't need to earn. It's just like part of being human. You have to rest sometimes. That when I'm satiated, I get enough rest and I'm ready to come back and I have energy and I'm excited. From that place, I take much more effective actions towards my goal anyway than when I'm trying to work just to work, like work to escape some sort of guilt or discomfort, especially with uncertainty. I feel like that's when the have to and the shoulds come up, when we're really afraid of dealing with uncertainty, outcomes we can't control. We search for things we can control, like what we do. And so I find often for a bunch of new entrepreneurs facing the uncertainty of launching a business, launching an offer, not knowing how people will respond, not knowing where the money's coming from or how much or when, that we can try to control that uncertainty with like a lot of busy work and grind and hustle, or with an original plan that we're not checking in with whether it's still in alignment or not. So, if you're in that place, like everything feels frazzled and hectic and marketing's a grind, it feels like a sludge and nothing's happening, I want you to ask yourself, is what I need right now to rest and come back to it with a fresh perspective so I can take more effective actions? Because for me, when I do that, when I rest, take time off, come back with my fresh perspective, the actions I feel driven to take from that perspective that become clear to me as the path forward get me sales and aligned clients so much faster and with way less effort and hustling and grinding just because I think I'm supposed to or I can. I'm never going back. I'm never going back to the way it was before. I'm taking the rest and coming back with a fresh perspective and reinvigorated brilliance. Okay. So all of this is to put this little thought in your ear. What are you doing because you can? And you haven't gone further than that to ask whether it's something you actually want to do or if there's something you want to do instead. Great question to journal on. So that wraps up today's episode. Thank you so much for listening. Please don't forget to leave me a 5-star review and share this podcast with your entrepreneur friends. And if you would like support and encouragement as you build the business of your dreams, you're invited to join the squad, a crew of excellently eccentric entrepreneurs cheering each other on to new heights as we all do the impossible in real time. Plus, you get me as your own personal on-call marketing director. You actually have an opportunity to check out what the squad is all about, meet the members for free this Monday, June 17th, 2024. We're having an open house where you can join our signature Marketing Confidence cheerleading session, again, totally for free. This session is an open Q&A to unblock whatever is preventing your marketing from getting the kind of sales you want, need, and deserve. The link to register for free is in the show notes. I hope to see you there. All right, lots of love and bye for now.